What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all, it is finally time for me to do this Q&A video. Now, about 3 weeks ago, I had left a question in the community tab. I was asking if you guys wanted me to do a Q&A video, and I asked if you guys could leave me some questions. So I got a handful of questions. I had a few questions that were asked under some videos, so I felt like I should just add that to this. So yeah, we got a decent amount of questions that I can go ahead and answer. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first question. All right, first question comes from Just Ashton 255. Any best strategies for someone new to gig work? So my advice for anyone that is going to be new to gig work, the first thing I would say is make sure you do your research. Research is huge because, you don't want to be blindsided. That's where you get a majority of your strategies from when you're dealing with certain apps. So research meaning, you either look up other YouTubers like myself or other gig tubers that are on the platform, see how they're operating with that particular app. I made that mistake when I first started doing Amazon Flex. I really didn't do too much research, but since then I definitely learned, and anytime I'm going to venture into a new app, I go ahead and do research on it just to go ahead and make sure that, I have everything that I need equipment wise. That's another thing that a lot of people may not necessarily think about when it comes to gig work. Sure, you're transporting goods, and that can be as small as, a meal, some food delivery, the catering, package delivery, and it goes up from there. You got people who have box trucks and vans that do pallets worth of deliveries. So you got to make sure you have the appropriate equipment for that, and the only way you can learn is if you do your research and you see how other people do it. Now, on top of that, I would also say that you need to come into the gig scene with the right mindset. Some people might watch other YouTubers and they're like, oh my God, I can make all of that money, the same amount of money that this person's making. You can't really come in here expecting that you're going to make the same amount of money, if not more, than somebody else that's showcasing on a channel. There's a lot of different things that you have to take into account. One main thing being the market that you're in. Somebody in Florida might have a completely different experience and you live out in Washington or something. It just kind of varies depending on where you live. So, don't come in there thinking like, oh, I'm about to start making $1,500 a week, this and that. It varies by app. Some apps, they have like that honeymoon phase where you're getting all the good orders. That's kind of how they reel you in, and then it starts to slow down. Other apps, like I noticed this with catering, it definitely starts slow in the beginning, but once you start to get your foot in the door, you're going to start seeing more orders more frequently, and you're able to go ahead and work your way up. So, it varies. Like I said, it depends on the app, it depends on the market. And if you do decide to do this full time, make sure you have enough money in the bank to cover, if you can, I would say a good 6 months of expenses, maybe at least 3 or 4, but the more the better, because you don't know if you're going to be bringing in the same amount of money that you were if you're just leaving your W-2. So don't just up and quit your job and you're like, I'm making $1,500 a week, I'm making $2,000 a week. It's a lot of things you got to take into consideration. Your health care, your expenses with your car. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that you kind of have to be prepared for. So yeah, just having that right mindset, being prepared, and yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, question number 2. This comes from Angia Harrison. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Do you enjoy doing gig work? And if so, how has it changed your life? I definitely do enjoy doing gig work. So, as much as I might complain about certain things about it, nothing's perfect. But, I definitely enjoy having that flexibility to switch it up when I want to. I can turn on an app at my leisure, go out and do however many deliveries that I want to do, and come back home. I do definitely enjoy that flexibility. It does allow me to take a break from, my norm that I do on a regular basis. So, yeah. I definitely do enjoy gig work. Now, how has it changed my life? Now, I would say over time, the way I thought about gig work has definitely changed. It's evolved. When I first got into gig work, I kind of was just doing it just to kill time. You know, that's when I first got sent home from work to work remotely. You know, being sent home and having to work remotely when you're used to going in the office every day, you know, it's a bit of a shocker to you. And, you know, I just wanted to go ahead and kind of get out of the house a little bit. So that's why I first started doing gig work, and then I stopped. And then when I came back to it, it was for financial reasons. So I had a goal in mind. I got to make this much money. And, you know, that was why I was doing gig work. And then I started the channel a few months later, and it was more or less like, you know, people were saying, oh, you should start a channel, you should do this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the more I got into it, you know, I'm more or less seeing it as kind of like a stepping stone for, you know, business purposes. You know, do I see myself doing gig work, you know, 5-10 years from now? I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be at, but I can definitely say that at this point in my life, it has definitely had a positive impact on me because, you know, like I said, I started the YouTube channel from it, and just seeing the growth and, you know, me spreading the knowledge to people, you know, and just seeing people say how grateful they are and how thankful they are for, you know, me giving them information about certain apps and things like that. You know, it's a really good feeling. So, you know, it has definitely changed my life in a sense of just knowing that, you know, my words do have power. And like I said, right now, it's kind of more or less, I'm using it as a stepping stone business wise. And, you know, we're going to go ahead and see where it takes me from there. So yeah, definitely looking forward to more changes in the future. All right, next question. This is from Miss Terry M81. Have you done the Downers Grove location with Flex? If yes, do their blocks take you to Maywood or the Chicago locations? Now, no, I have not done any Amazon Flex blocks out there on the west side. I am very familiar with the west side, but no, I have not done any Amazon Flex in any of the locations over there. Now, when I was doing Flex on a regular, you know, I'm out here in the south suburbs, okay? And I've heard, I don't really know how true this is, but I've heard that the radius that they can send you from the warehouse can be up to an hour drive away. So, and I don't know if that includes traffic or if it doesn't include traffic. So from the warehouse that I've picked up from, I've gone to downtown Chicago, I've gone to Berwyn, Cicero, way out in Indiana. I think the furthest I've been in Indiana is Chesterton. And they haven't sent me south. The furthest south I've been was in Joliet, and I know that's more so like west, more so than south. But yeah, those were some distances. So yeah, if they're sending me out that far, I wouldn't be surprised if the Downers Grove location, if they send you all the way to downtown. So yeah, Maywood, Broadview, Berwyn, all those areas are more than likely going to be included. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's why I haven't really been doing Flex that often, because other than the fact that they haven't had incentives, you know, the fact that you don't know what route you're going to get, you know, sometimes it's not worth taking if it's just base pay. So if they're not giving any incentives, if it's not surge pay, I don't entertain it. I don't even entertain it. So, all right, next question comes from CC Ryder. Do you have to keep your Delivered That app on all day to receive orders? Thanks. So with the catering apps, Deliver That and Delivered, they both do require you to be online to receive orders. Now with Deliver That, I've seen some people say that the app sucks because, you know, they haven't received any orders. It's been a couple weeks, but listen, it took me almost a month before I got my first order. About 3 to 4 weeks, I would say, before I got my first order. And I would get the ding and it would say like, oh, you got an offer for a new job. And then I would open it and then it's gone in an instant. So, you know, I was kind of trying to get whatever I could get. So when I finally did get the opportunity to get something that was almost a month after I got approved to do deliveries, you know, I took it and ran with it. And ever since then, I have started to get more and more offers sent to me. And it does go based off your location. So if I happen to travel, you know, 20 or however many miles away from the area that I typically do deliveries, I will start getting notifications for orders in that area that I'm currently in. So if you're in a general location and you haven't received anything and your app is still on, I would suggest starting to move around a little bit while you do have the app on to see if you can potentially get some orders from another location. Because like I said, it's going based off off of where you're currently located. So you might have to move around a little bit if you're not getting anything in your preferred area. So, you know, just keep that in mind. But yes, you do have to remain online in order to receive orders. All right, moving on to the next question. And this comes from Charity Marquad. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. 2877. How do you find gig work in your area? I'm in a small college town. I've heard of DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Spark Driver, Shipt, and Instacart. I'm doing Spark Driver at the moment. Hopefully you're doing well on Spark, because Spark has been great for me so far. Yes, I do have a few grievances about the app, but overall, you know, I think it's pretty decent. So how do you find apps? How do you find apps? You really just have to do your research. So just like I had mentioned on the first question, you just have to do your research. You have to just look up what's available in your market. So you can watch myself, you can watch other YouTubers, see the different apps that they're showcasing, and you can see if it's something that's in your market. Now, the other thing you have to keep in mind, some apps that I showcase, it may not be in your market, and vice versa. So I can't showcase an app that you have that I don't have access to. So you're gonna have to go ahead and do your own research. You can just do a simple Google search, gig apps in my area, you know, something along the lines of that. And you might be able to find an app that you probably wouldn't have been able to find off of another YouTuber because, well, they don't live in your area. So yeah, unless you find a gig tuber that lives in your area and they're showcasing a bunch of apps, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're probably just gonna have to go ahead and do your own research to see what's available in your area. So that's all it is, just research. All right, next question, and this is from generic account user. Yes. So how did you get into gig work, and is it your primary source of income? So no, gig work is not my primary source of income. I do have a full-time job, and yeah, so that's where I get my primary source of income from. Now, how did I get started with gig work? Well, I have an unofficial time and then an official time when I actually really got started. So let's start with the unofficial, okay? So like I mentioned before, I had started working from home. I started working remotely. This was during 2020. They were sending some folks home to work remotely. And yeah, I was sent home. So I was at home by myself with my cats. And my husband, he still had to go into the office. So yeah, it got a little lonely being home by myself. And like, yeah, I had my meetings with people, and, you know, I would chat with people at work and stuff like that. But, you know, it just wasn't the same. You know, going from being in the office to just at home 100% of the time, it's, you know, it takes a toll on you. So I thought, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just get out the house a little bit. You know, I know a lot of stuff is closed. I'm not trying to just go ahead and run it up and just be all over the place. But I was like, you know what? I could take advantage and make some extra money while I'm at it. So I signed up for DoorDash and I did DoorDash for a few months. I was doing DoorDash during lunch, at the end of my shift, and just pretty much when I was able to fit it in. I wasn't making crazy money. I was bringing in maybe like an extra $50 a week, and that would cover, you know, my lunches or whatever. So, you know, it wasn't really that big of a deal. So that only lasted for, like I said, a couple months. And back in 2022, it was like around, like, I think September, October. It was towards the fall of 2022. You know, we had got into a financial pinch, and I was like, yo, we gotta do something. We gotta make some money. So thinking about going back to DoorDash, you know, that was one option because I was still active on that platform. But then I discovered Amazon Flex. And pretty much the rest was history from there. I was doing like, you know, 2-3 blocks a week, just fitting it in when I could. And, you know, I kind of dove into the rabbit hole. I went from Flex, I started doing Roadie. And at this point, this is when I started the channel. And I just dove into a bunch of apps, the catering, and I signed up for a bunch of apps. I literally had like maybe 10 or 15 apps on my phone at the time. I had a lot of them in the beginning. I was on the wait list. And yeah, like I said, the rest is history. So that's how I unofficially and then officially got into gig work. All right, and last question. This is from LL/Larry. Would you prefer to do Spark or DoorDash or Uber Eats, and why? Now, for me, to be completely honest, anything food delivery, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, all of those platforms, they are at the bottom of the list for me when it comes to gig work, because the amount that you get paid for the amount driven and the time taken, it's not really worth it. So I really don't entertain doing food delivery whatsoever. I think I've done 2 or 3 videos with food delivery, and that was well over 6 months ago. Now, honestly, my go-to app type is gonna be catering, because you can easily make $50 in like 30 minutes, sometimes more. But, I prefer to do that because, one, there's super, super quick orders. Most of the time, you can get done with a catering order within an hour, and the payouts can be great. Not all of them, yes. Some of the payouts, they can be kind of but anything that you've seen me showcase on this channel was worth it for me, in a sense of either trying to get my status up on the platform or just a really good payout for the amount of work that I had to do. There have been a few instances where I'm like, okay, this was could be better, but I would definitely take that over trying to make the same amount on DoorDash, which is probably going to take me 3 if not 4 times longer to make the same amount of money that I made off a catering order in 30 minutes. So that's my preferred app type. But in the case, for the purposes of this question, I would definitely choose Spark over food delivery. And I've seen some folks, they're like, I can't believe you like Spark so much, you're putting so much praise on it. I think Spark has been great, at least for me. Now, I know I've seen some people say, you're overhyping Spark ain't that great, it's terrible in my market, this and that. But look, I go where the money is. So mainly I'm going on Spark for the incentives. You guys haven't seen me turn on Spark without incentives ever, even though I posted, I don't know, 5 or 6 different videos so far. I haven't done it without an incentive. So yeah, if you're out there doing Spark without incentives, yeah, it may not be great for you, but I'm only gonna do it if they're giving out some decent incentives. That way it can kind of make it up if the orders really aren't that great, because you don't know what types of orders you're gonna get until you get out there. But if I had to choose between Spark, DoorDash, and Uber Eats, I'm going with Spark, no question. Because like I said, even if the orders, aren't that great, if it's just $1 per mile and I gotta, do a lot of back and forth, the incentives can at least make it worth it. But yeah, that was the last question, guys. So yeah, what'd you think? So honestly, I was kind of thinking about maybe turning this into a series, not like a weekly thing, but maybe a monthly thing, maybe at the beginning of the month, the end of the month, or every other month or something. If you guys have questions, I can go ahead and answer them if it's anything in regards to, gig work or me personally, or, similar to how this Q&A was. So, but yeah, I would love to know what you guys would think. Would you like to see me do a Q&A every now and then? You guys just send me a handful of questions that you might have about gig work or whatever, and I just take some time to talk about them, because I know you guys ask me questions in the comment section, and there's only so much that I can type back to you. Like, yeah, there have been some times where I typed out a decent amount, but I would prefer to verbally answer certain questions rather than trying to explain it through text. Some things might not get understood properly, stuff like that. So let me know, guys, if I were to make this into a series, how often would you like me to do a video like this? Like I said, monthly, every other month, or let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Now, before I let you guys go, I have to remind you to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.